I'm joined now by Michael Planey. He's an airline technology expert with HMPlaney Consultants. Michael, I want to get your take on all of these countries deciding to ground this plane and why you have this resistance, I guess, if you will, from the United States to not join that effort.
I think there are two important things to consider here. The first is that this aircraft, there are more than 350 of them that have been delivered and are operating around the world, largely incident-free. Obviously, the two incidents that we've had in the past 5 months are worthy of concern. But in the case of the crash in Indonesia with Lion Air, it's still not 100% determined what the actual cause of the crash was. There are leading indicators from the data that's been recovered from the flight data recorder and the cockpit voice recorder, but we still don't have a full, complete investigation with findings that tell you specifically what happened. We also, the second thing is, there are only two data points that connect what happened in Indonesia with what happened in Ethiopia. That is, the make of the aircraft and the proximity to the time that they took off. Other than that, we have no good data about the crash in Ethiopia that tells us specifically what caused it, what the pilots were doing, were there any other external factors or internal factors to the aircraft that could have caused this to happen. Boeing and the FAA have both said that the aircraft is airworthy and that the aircraft is safe to operate. Until we see more specific data from the Ethiopian crash, it's hard to say that there's a single point of failure anywhere in this aircraft that caused both crashes.
But those two coincidences, and even though we don't know the cause of either of those two crashes, were enough to ground planes in all of these other countries.
I think you're seeing a very unique and interesting new phenomenon going on, and that is the result of the acceleration of the news and investigation cycle around the world. When aircraft crashes happened before, they were, as they are today, a complete tragedy, but they happened outside of the global media focus that's now 24/7, 365. It's available socially, on the internet, it's available television, it's available in print. The investigators were able to get to these crash sites and conduct their work quietly, behind the scenes, thoroughly, without a lot of external pressure adding to the intensity of the investigation.
So is this about calming the masses then, more than anything?
I think what has to happen is that we have to not overpressure the investigators into making rash decisions before all of the facts are known. There aren't enough data points now to pinpoint to a cause that would say that just this aircraft is flawed. We are seeing things that are concerning. They are worthy of investigation, but we just don't have data right now that says we could alleviate this problem with this particular aircraft because we don't know what the specific problem was. There are eyewitness reports that have been shown on video and reported, for example, by Reuters. Eyewitnesses who saw the aircraft crash, they said, A, there were flames coming behind the aircraft. There were debris trailing the aircraft. In both of those particular circumstances, that would not be the result of a flight control software problem. That would somehow say that there was something external or a major component failure of the aircraft that would lead to this circumstance. The eyewitness reports may or may not be valid. We don't know. What we're seeing is an overwhelming amount of information being put out in the public sphere, resulting in an enormous wave of pressure for all of the regulators around the world to have to deal with.
And Michael, we're about out of time, but one important point to make, the Arab Flight Attendants Union here in the United States coming out asking for the planes to be taken out of the sky, but you make the point that the pilots
unions have not asked for that right now. And while the mechanics unions and the flight attendant unions have asked for the aircraft to be investigated thoroughly and everything to go with it, the pilots unions who've received specific training, especially in the light of the Indonesian crash with Lion Air, and who operate the aircraft on a daily basis, have reaffirmed their support for the airworthiness of this aircraft. I'm willing to take them at their word that they feel that it's safe to fly.
Michael Planey, always great to hear your thoughts. Thank you for
Elaine.
joining us.